testimonials from people is a surefire way to get rid of people's worry. If it's just you speaking about it, people are going to be like, oh, my results, I can make this happen for you. Okay, but you're the brand owner. If you don't have any testimonials or any else on there to show, because the first thing I do when I go on a site and looking at someone's services, I'm like, okay, look, this looks cool. Look at the quality of the site. This does matter, specifically over the last year, because everyone's now online. Before you can kind of get away with a raggedy website, it's kind of, or not even having one. And a lot of people relied on social media. It's kind of coming back where the website is important because everybody's online more so than ever. How clearly is the value add stated right away? Because that is sometimes buried. Services provided, and then the value add for you could be something about, this isn't just a virtual learning experience. This is an integrated whatever, right? That's your opportunity to explain that this is not just your traditional virtual. And then testimonials, people actually have experienced learning is very important. And I would think definitely with parents, the trust factor is huge. A lot of people now are doing something online now too. The space has gotten even more crowded. So it's up to you to really show your experience, your expertise, but you need some cosigns. Cosigns are very, very important. Now, a cosign could be testimonial. I also like to see if you integrate your social channel. Now, your social channel needs to be active on there so that people can see that there's stuff happening with your social channel real time. But they need to see some sort of cosign that says you're a real business. There's some people actually having some great experiences here. Results are happening. Because we're at a time now where the barrier to entry has been removed. So really anybody can call themselves an expert now because of all the free social tools and platforms. And there's really no way to decipher if you're a parent, a user, a customer, when you're Googling looking for services, who's going to be the best fit. So really we're at a point now where if you're not marketing yourself actively, you are losing out on clients. And this is a hard one, I think, too. I'm tailed out of millennial, so I'm not even in that group. Trailed out of it, just about. So I'm kind of in that middle point where I get that, because I had a young lady was tell me her branding strategy, and I was like, how long have you been doing this for? And she was like, a year. I was like, girl, okay. Then I was like, I don't want to sound old, so let me not say anything. But but I looked at her platform. She does an excellent job of marketing herself. So you almost can't be upset about it because she understands the game of it. If people now, Google is now everyone's personal marketing tool to find things, to connect, to validate. Search engine marketing is expensive. Focusing on Google and trying to rank is expensive. I wouldn't even really go there. Content's really the best way. But like you have to be marketing yourself. If you can no longer just be good or have the experience, because people are not going to find you. And you need an extensive budget then to be able to market people. And if you don't have a huge budget, then it's on you basically to say, I'm going to market myself. And it's literally like every day I'm taking time out to market. It can't just be this thing where I'm doing it a couple times a month. You won't ever really move forward in this new world we're in. Now, that sounds depressing, but the positive side of it is you have complete control over your marketing. You know, so you don't have to go spend a bunch of advertising, like in I think old school days where you had to run advertising in papers. Now you don't have to do that or get on the radio. I mean, those options are still here, but you really have complete control and power over what you do on a day-to-day basis in the marketing you do to attract the people, which is the exciting piece of it. And it doesn't cost a whole lot, but the less money you spend on the marketing, the more you have to do. So that means you've got to actively be putting out content on a regular basis. And I say regular basis, get on the habit of at least once a week. But you've got to be on a system of things because your competitors, that young lady I mentioned to you, is doing it. That's why when I met with her, she didn't have the expertise or experience, but clients are finding her first. because she knows this game. And I say a game in the fact that you got to play it a little bit to win. And so I looked at her content calendar. She's blogging on Mondays. Tuesday, she's shooting all her video content. Wednesday, she's doing her social stuff. I mean, she's very methodical about it. So therefore, the Google, she's being rewarded by the search engines. The search engines like you to be relevant. They like you to be putting content out. You get rewarded by that. You don't get rewarded when you don't do anything. And then it's almost kind of like when I've told people, like, Jasmin, you'd like to get married one day. Yeah, I don't leave my house. I work all the time. So how would I actually get married? It's one of those situations, right? He's just going to show up. I think he's going to show up delivery. He just happens to accidentally be coming by my house. He's like, I thought it was coming here. Like, no, you came to the wrong place. But it's the same situation. I want clients, yet I'm not doing anything. I'm not putting myself out there. So, and posting once on Facebook, with that algorithm, I mean, it's working against us. So you really have to think, Marsha, on a day-to-day basis, A, have I marketed myself? B, have I marketed my company today? And I think it's one of these things where it's not just marketing your business, it's marketing yourself too. And marketing yourself could be anywhere where keeping your LinkedIn page updated, making sure you're going to networking things, especially now virtual too. Making sure that you're commenting on things, you're sharing relevant content, you're putting yourself out there. I think so it's a two-pronged approach. And you said, oh God, I'm so busy doing everything else, just trying to keep the company running. If you really think about it from a time management perspective, you plan your day out effectively. And what I've started doing is I plan my day out the night before, because I get distracted very easily as a creative. I'm all over the place, and I'll spend 2 hours writing a blog post, and I'm like, I haven't even finished it yet. So now I flush out my day and know revenue generating activities have to happen first before I do anything else. And in my experiences working with women, we tend to put those off. We tend to do all our other stuff. Yes. Oh shoot, I should have called on some people or sent some outreach out.
I'm bad about that.
Yeah. And men, on the other hand, in my experiences, they probably, in my experiences, are a little bit better at the actually going after business. Not all men, but in my experiences, and looking at men versus women, we kind of get focused on busy work. Even in our interactions with other women too, when I have talked to men, because most of my mentors are actually men, we talk about social stuff. They'll ask me, how's stuff doing, Jasmin? First thing they ask me, what's the business doing? What are you doing? You know, we get that out. As opposed to my female colleagues or female mentors, social, then we might talk about business. So it's just a change of how we are going to handle ourselves if we're going to run a company. So now I would say, starting today after this call, what revenue producing activities do you need to focus on? And it's going to be uncomfortable. I'm just going to tell you that now. This is why we push things off. This is why I hate talking about money. I still do after 10 or 11 years, because I hate it. I'm horrible with it. It's just not my thing. But I have to force myself. So for an hour, 30 minutes, start baby stepping and say 15 minutes, I'm going to go send one email out to offer my services or to tell some about what I'm doing before I start doing all my other stuff. But thinking about, if I've got 8 hours in a day to work, 1 to 2 hours is revenue producing, 1 hour for myself. And I say 1 hour for myself, marketing myself. And that could be also me reading up blogs about my own branding, how to do stuff for myself. This is taking time for personal, professional development for ourselves. If you don't know how to do personal branding for yourself, or don't know how to market yourself on LinkedIn, that 1 hour is also meant for you to do that too, or for you to go follow some new people. And then thinking about marketing yourself too. Marketing could be working out your content calendar. What do I want to talk about this week? Or maybe I need to get help. This could also be this thing too. Maybe brainstorm, bringing somebody on to help me so that she or he can start to brainstorm this with me each week. So it's just reimagining your day to be more focused and driven on actually moving the company forward. And the way to move the company forward is revenue, 1, and 2, marketing helps with that. But you have to build it in there, and you got to be more aggressive too. But Sue, so that's on my list. It's this thing too. So when I started trying to work out, I realized I wasn't gonna be doing it myself. So I followed this girl. She has an app, And the app, I wake up, it tells me exactly what exercise to do. I realize I cannot do it on my own, because if it relies on me, it's never going to happen, right? Same thing. This may be something for you to say, I'm going to go research someone else building out my content calendar for me. Like, one of the biggest things as an entrepreneur, as the founder of your own company, is to know when to move stuff off of your plate. I say this because I'm horrible with it. But if you can't do it, this is a sign you need to get help, because you're holding your progress, your company back. And you also know, you're like, I'm not disciplined, or I don't want to do it. Let somebody else do it. And I think it ranges from, you know, a couple $100 at that, depending on how extensive you want the content calendar. But you could also do it where you say, you know what, I would like to have a call with a consultant or someone once a week. We go over the goals for the week, so they keep you on track, kind of like a coach. Or you could say, I'd like you to build out my content calendar for me for the month. And then they check in with you mid-month. I mean, there's so many different varieties, but I would say this is probably a good time for you now to start maybe asking for help on that piece. I like to look at my content calendar on a Sunday, just before, like, I like to look at it. And then by Wednesday, I see where I'm at with it. But I set alarms in my phone, because if I try to allow myself to do it, it just won't happen. But you're exactly right. Quality and time management. When you have that planned out, the time thinking about what to post, you waste so much time doing that. And then it's usually not a good post.
Exactly.
Do you have?
That's exactly right. Because I could come up with 100 different things, and it's like gone. So I'm gonna be at UNT next month for their volunteer fair.
Okay.
Has anyone interns or volunteers to do that? I mean, would you suggest using volunteers or interns? I know they have marketing students, so I don't know if it's a good idea to reach out to one of them. You know, they're probably more in tune to some of that stuff, maybe. And I don't know if you would or volunteer.
Well, so I would say, because this is all coming from a love statement. So because you've been procrastinating so long, and there's no discipline on that piece, you really want to have a professional who's going to crack the whip. Because in my experiences, when I've had an intern, they get very intimidated to tell me what to do. So and you really need, like, it's like almost hiring a personal trainer. I don't need the personal trainer for 6 months. I really need the personal trainer just for a couple of visits to get me into, and then I'm good on my own. So I think you can have an intern to help you execute the plan. But I think and at this point, Sue, I would just have conversations. Just start having dialogue. Doesn't mean you have to hire the person. Just start having conversations, so then you can start to hear quickly. They probably can start coming up with solutions for a lot of your problems. And it's this thing where the time you've wasted on not doing it is gonna be, it costs more than the money you would spend on this person who can get it pinned up for you and get that moving. So I would say, when it comes to strategy, planning like that, I would go with a professional. I would agree with you somewhat, Terrence, but I'll push back just a little in saying that are you working for your business, or are you leading it? So there comes a point in time with your company where you have to actually be the CEO. And why I say that to say is that I also self-taught in the beginning too, and learned all that stuff. The amount of time that's being spent, your job as a CEO is to build out a team if needed, eventually, raise capital, drive revenue, build the company out. That's your job. And so sometimes what happens is, if you are so focused on watching YouTube videos and studying and learning, your job as a CEO, those tasks that are very important get to the wayside. So you have to come to a point in time. Now, in the beginning, I agree with you for sure. I also think it's about being very strategic about your cash flow. So if I'm working a full-time job, or if I do get a bonus, or if I do get a client, is thinking about, okay, if I've got $3,000, what expenses? My expenses is one of the expenses I would go ahead and set aside, is start putting aside money for marketing each month. Put $100 here, $50 here. By 6 months, you've got something you can say, okay, now I've got a little bit to work with. In that 6 months, you should have already been contacting various providers, so that you do feel like you don't pick one where you don't know what they've done. I would never advise consulting with anyone if they have not stepped and walked me through everything. I want to make sure I know how to do everything I'm comfortable with before I pay. There's no rush on it. But I will say, are you working for your business? Is the business working for you? There comes a point in time, though, where you have to kind of say, okay, I'm going to continue to keep this business running at where it's at, or if I want to take it next level where I could eventually hire somebody. And to me, the sign of success for any company is when you get to start bringing on somebody. There's no way that you can do everything. You cannot build a successful company and do all the other things. You just can't. There eventually comes a point in time where you have to bring on help and support, but you got to be at a place to do that. You've got to set the stage for it. So it's like, if I wanted to hire somebody in February, I have to start planning for that now. And so I agree, there's things that you can do on your own. Canva is your best friend. There's lots of great tools on there that you should definitely use. And I hate to say this too, because I know some fabulous graphic designers, but their business definitely has suffered because of Canva. Because Canva, I mean, they just really upped their game with all the tools there. But the time I've spent watching and trying to learn and teach myself, especially if I'm not tech savvy, and I am not, I can watch 50 million videos and still have no idea what I'm doing. And now I'm back at square one. I've wasted 3 hours. And now it's time for me to eat and go to bed. And now I've done nothing. So I agree with you in the point where try to do as much as you can. Lots of things are self-taught, but then you have to start making a decision for your business. Say, where do I want this business to end at this year? Next year, this time next year, do I have a staff member joining me? How much time am I devoting to this? A lot of us work too hard to be working this hard. And it's like, it's really about building out a company that's productive, but also you're being strategic about it too. And there comes a point in time, if I know I want to hire somebody, what do I need to do in order to get to that point? You're going to have to invest in marketing. As I shared in the beginning, we're at a place now, you can't do what you did before. Everybody, specifically in the online space, there's so much competition here. And so as I told you about the 23-year-old, the girl I was telling you about, that's because she put guru on her profile. I was like, oh gosh. But she's doing the work. She's putting in the time. She's invested, and she's got a little videographer shooting her content. I mean, she's doing all the stuff that you've got to do to be in the space now. So it's like, I put $10 aside, $20 aside, whatever you have to start putting aside marketing budget. That's really important. I'd also say this is marketing for yourself too. When's the last time you had headshots? When's the last time do you have a speaker, a reel about yourself? This is the time to invest in having a videographer, marketing yourself, making sure everything on your own person. Do you have on personal website? Most of us do not. These are things that marketing budget could go to as well. It doesn't have to always go to social media or whatever. It could go to you. Do you need to go get coaching yourself? Do you actually know how to speak? So if you do get some media opportunities, you're ready to go. So I say, thinking about it strategically, anytime I'm getting any kind of money in, whether it's income from a job or it's a client, taking a portion of that and say, I'm going to put some aside for my marketing because it's that important in today's world. Okay, I think we're almost out of time. That went by fast.
We are. It did. I'm taking notes here. Like, all right, I've got a lot to do for Stoke right now in terms of marketing and content. So yeah, thank you.